It is through imposed dimensions that the being perceives things and perceives itself. Transcending these initial dimensions places it in others. The question, then, is how to free oneself from all imposed dimensions and never become trapped in new and different dimensions. Being and existing in manifestation answer this question. Being is infinite and eternal, but when it is in manifestation, it is finite and temporary. Being, responding to the playwright's question, is the only path that liberates and gives autonomy to being. Since the being is the answer, it seems obvious that finding it is no longer a secret, but rather the only path. However, the being is not just the answer, it is the only reason for the existence of everything. The book says to allow the gaze to do its work. The answer, therefore, to what exists beyond the eternal and the infinite, is only one, the being itself. While the being is in manifestation, it will also be involved in the search for answers, in the worship and admiration of the brilliance of those who develop the theories, calculations, and science that explain things. This is where the line divides science, between that which fragments, and that which totalizes. The being will continue to build telescopes, microscopes, and spacecraft, to try to see as close as possible to a lower and higher infinity, emphasizing the impossible even more, while infinity is actually much closer. All that science does is discover and explain what is already within the being. So, why not prioritize the science that totalizes? In the created universe, only one thing makes sense: the existence of the being. The figures of infinity and eternity in the universe, and the quest to understand this eternity and infinity, mask the existence of the being. Looking only outward, in an attempt to understand the created universe, distances the being from itself and from understanding the created universe. The being is in the equation that provokes every consequence. Anything created is the result of work to bring it into existence. This work does not need to be undone, but it can be undone. Any and all appearances of the being can be modified. This transformation involves undoing the work of formation. Formation has agreements with nature, and transformation alters nature with a new agreement. Apathy and submission demonstrate a being that is still unconscious or asleep. Revolt and transgression demonstrate a being dissatisfied with an unconscious and inexplicable life. Self-mutilation and constant transformations of dense bodies show a non-conforming being, attempting to adapt to environments, driven by various motivations. Generally speaking, being anywhere unconsciously is unpleasant. Assuming the consequences of incomprehensible acts does not seem fair to the being. This complicity with an inexplicable creation is unacceptable. That is why various mechanisms are built to impose rules and laws for good coexistence, as well as all possible artifices, to make life increasingly attractive or to emotionally involve the being, providing justifications for its history. Reassuming consciousness can be seen as a work of recovery of the being itself. Surrendering in complicity with an incomprehensible life is not part of the true nature of the being. One thing is to be in the manifestation consciously, where autonomy defines the trajectory and coexistence. Another thing is to wander sleepwalking. Art has shown, in paintings, music, texts, theatrical performances, or cinema, some non-conforming beings and others who conform, but always with the clash between acceptance and non-acceptance of things. Meanwhile, in parallel, some enlightened artists take advantage of every form of artistic expression to bring allegories so that the being becomes aware of the existence of doors that transcend the limited perceptual states on this path in search of consciousness, which is the being itself. Culture instills fear, but intelligence instills much more, and both will support any side of the being's battle with itself.